Welcome to The Smart Athlete. Insightful conversations with some of the smartest athletes, coaches, and trainers around the world. In these conversations, we hear future goals, daily habits, and the nuanced steps of the athlete en route to successful craft, all hosted by Britt Smart.
In this episode, we will catch up with Monique Conti, a dual sport athlete. She plays in the WNBL with Southside Flyers, who just won a championship, and she also plays in AFLW with the Richmond Tigers. We talk about her tips for balancing both sports and her ability to keep her skill level high and enough to be a professional in both sports. We have Monique Conti on today, and ex-teammate, ex-basketball teammate, played together a few years ago, Boomers. She was just a young kid, a rising star though, for sure. And then I left her and I went to a different team, and now she also plays Aussie rules. So any Americans listening to this, Australian rules football, which it's not rugby and it's not football like with your foot and a ball like soccer. It's actually a really cool sport. Never heard of it. Started watching it, like a few years ago, and was just like, this is cool. This is cool because the physicality of it, the speed of it, the skill. I don't know. It's just really enjoyable to watch. Big game tonight. Now, at the moment, I am a Saints fan.
No.
I had no choice. The Australian culture, we talked about this before with some other people, I wasn't given a choice. Like Saints is just, I had to do it because my partner was doing it. So anyways, AFL tonight, the men's league, it's Saints. St. Kilda's playing Richmond. How you feel about it?
Well, I'm very confident.
Okay.
Look, Saints aren't a great final side because they're never in finals, so they might choke a little bit. And Richmond, very experienced, especially in the past 3 years. So I reckon it'll be a really good game. They've got they got one ex-Richmond player, so that will be very interesting. But I'm really keen to watch it. Finally, some footy for your Friday night,
Yeah, footy.
You'd be actually really good at footy, though.
I would have been, and I would have loved it. My only thing that I could struggle with is I can't kick, and you kind of need
just a little bit. You're not bad at kicking. You've actually showed me in kicking skills. Do you remember at Boomers training we used to kick the little footy around?
Wow, that really means a lot coming from you.
I'm going to send you some videos. I've still got them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And then your people will soon realize why I've only stuck to basketball.
Yeah, I'll give you some pointers.
Anyways, right now we're not supposed to be friends because we go for different teams.
Yeah.
But I will say St. Kilda, it could be, maybe we'll catch Richmond off guard because they'll be relaxed. Now they've never been. Complacency. They're looking towards the next game. Any thoughts there?
Well, Richmond aren't that type of side to do that. I mean, last week they might have been, but I don't know. I think because they lost last week, it's sort of a bit of a slap in the face. So they might not be, but then again, you never know what their mindset will be like. So
there could be some friction. They're mad about last. This is how I would look at it when I'm an underdog, playing against a better team. I'm like, is there any possible way that I can gain motivation and belief that we can win? So anyways.
There's always that little bit, so who knows?
that little tiny bit. But speaking for Richmond, you're playing for Richmond at the moment.
Yes.
And
with Richmond. So I'm going into my second season with Richmond, so that's my fourth in the league. So I'm basically a veteran. For 5 years.
Oh, that's funny. At 10 years old, we have veteran Monique Conti for us today.
10 years. That's a bit harsh. But second year for Richmond, and we have a lot of new recruits, which will be really good. And we're going to be pretty solid this year. So I'm very keen.
Yeah. Who's your main players? Who you got coming in? So you're a main player. Obviously, what's your role? What's your position, Mon?
Well, I'm a midfielder, so I'm around the ball 90% of the time. And when I'm either on the bench after that resting, or I'm going to the forward line trying to kick goals. It's not my, best position, but I do like it down there. I'm just not a defender, so that's okay.
Well, that's I already knew that with basketball. You're not a defender.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's one of my best assets, being a defender. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I see.
No, actually, you are pretty quick. There's no question. But I had to really post you up and use my big body just to protect the ball.
Body. I mean, everyone's big compared to me, but That's a secret. We'll keep that between you and me.
Yeah. No question. And who are your sidekicks? I'm sure you're the main player of the team.
Well, we've got a whole bunch of new young ones that will be, on the rise. So there's always them. I really like Phoebe Monahan. She's really solid in the back line and she's got an engine on her. So she could run for days. She might be thrown in the mid this year. I'm not sure. Who knows? But Katie Brennan, of course, our captain. We've got our new recruit, Sarah Dargan. We've got Cody Jarks in the middle too. Sarah Hosking, Sabrina, Frederick Traw. Yeah, you know what? There's a whole bunch. Like I could sit here and just name the whole team, but yeah, there's always someone that, if they're on, they're really on. So I only just named a few.
Yeah. Well, what are the goals for I know it's preseason hasn't even started, but what's the kind of just outer expectations of what you feel the team could do this season and how you guys are going to go?
Yeah, well, last season we didn't win a game, so I guess that's sort of motivation for us to get out there and actually win. So that's a start. I think we honestly just want to connect as soon as we can. So as soon as preseason starts, we want to try and find that bond. It might be a bit hard with COVID and the being in groups of 10 at the moment, but I think for us is probably just get out there and all have the same goal. Obviously we haven't spoken about our values and stuff yet, but probably all be on the same page with that and just get out there, play for each other, and then hopefully results will come with that.
So have you guys been training in groups of 10 already, like within the last week or so? Has that started back up?
I think it got announced last week. So we started Wednesday night was like the first session back. Honestly, just groups of 10, lots of rules, like 1.5 meters apart when you can, coaches 5 meters. We're all in different change rooms. We have to shower after straight away. And in the gym, we have to stay apart as well. So groups of 10 and there's 3 groups of us. So we sort of just change times and it's 3 days a week. So that's what it's like at the moment.
Yeah. But is it enjoyable just to be even just around people and put energy off them and have some type of structure?
Yeah, I got really emotional. No, I didn't cry, but I was so happy.
It's okay if you did.
I did, no promise. In the inside, maybe. But I think just finally being back out on an oval with my teammates is just the best feeling, being around everyone. We're all there. We're finally training together instead of kick with your 12-year-old sister,
Yeah.
It's honestly good to just have that, like you said before, that human interaction and just seeing your teammates again. So it was very special, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I mean, so tell us some of the stuff that you went through with COVID and everything. What was the hardest part about it? Some of the stuff that you had to kind of push through. Were you able to stay on track with training and eating and motivation? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I have a tendency to, when I'm lazy, I'm very lazy. So I kind of fell into that trap in the first lockdown that we had earlier on in the year. I was a bit lost because our NBL 1 season got cancelled. So it was, I didn't have any basketball because WNBL obviously finished, football finished or got cut short. And it was honestly I was just lost and wasn't sure what to do, didn't have any sort of program to go off, wasn't doing uni at the time. So I think I did lose a lot of motivation and all that sort of stuff. But then I think I sort of dug myself out of the hole thinking there's girls in other states that are potentially training and getting better. So I went out there and I guess did some running to start off with and a bit of one-on-one with Gabby outside and, watching a lot of movies, of course. But, I think it was very tough. But then the second time round I sort of set myself like a schedule. So every day I ticked off what I needed to do and I did start uni as well, which was very good. It keeps me busy. Studying psychology, lots of content. It's really, really interesting. I've always loved it. So learning about, all sorts of things. I've probably just stuck to a schedule, got a running program, stuck to that, a little bit of gym stuff. And also started to, change my diet and everything and try to follow something there. So I'm prepared for when basketball and footy comes back. So I guess that's what I did.
No, that's good. It sounds like structure. It helps everyone. Yeah. But with COVID, you really found out who was self-motivated or who already had a structure set in place. If you're young or a professional athlete, a lot of times that structure is just there for you. And when that gets taken away, it's really hard for some. I mean, we've all kind of gone through that. just like when I went to college to play basketball and all of a sudden you go to Europe and you are treated more like as an adult. And it's like, if you're going to get strong, if you're going to do strength and conditioning or extra stuff, you have to go out and make sure that happens.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it just depends what club, what team. It's just nothing compares to the structure of college. I mean, no matter where you go. So, and the fact that you kind of learn from that and were able to do better that second time around. But yeah, with the whole psychology thing, that's a big part of an athlete's life as well. But what really drew you into wanting to do psychology, or what was it like, yes, I want to do it? Was there certain things that made you make that decision? And what do you want to learn or get from that, and how are you going to apply it to yourself?
Yeah, so I think how I started with that was I've always loved psychology in high school. Yeah, I did in high school, and then I sort of wanted to study it at uni, but I thought that if you study psychology, you have to study for like 10 years and be a psychologist. I didn't actually know that you could get jobs out of it if you just, study for your 4 years. So I think what I did was obviously was interested in it, and I tried business at one point and didn't like that. And I was like, what can I do to have something to fall back on post sport? What do I like? What do I want to, try and pursue in with the education side of things? And I was like, you know what, I'm going to give psychology a crack. So I did. I'm with Swinburne, thanks to Richmond. So I'm sort of just seeing how that goes. And then after that, I think I'm going to, I like the idea of sports psychology, because obviously I can relate being an athlete, and even just like being a counsellor for younger students at schools or something like that. So that's where I'm at right now. But I think as I study some more, I'll probably find some more, jobs that I can get out of that. So I think that's how I started that.
No, that's really cool. And people are going to be able to relate to you for sure when they're coming to you, going through something, because you've gone through it yourself in multiple scenarios in the basketball world and the footy world. And then just, being alive in relationships and balancing school as well and all that. You're going to be able to really, be able to share a lot of things and help people.
Exactly.
We all of us need those mentors, those people you look up to, whether that's teammates, coaches, family members. Who is there for you? Like, in sports, if you need help with your mental game, or even just outside of sport, who did you kind of lean on to? Who are some go-to people? And sometimes that changes depending on where you are, what seasons and what teams. Yeah. But can you think of a few people that you looked up to and shared to? And
yeah, so I think I've sort of been kind of lucky being exposed to the, I guess, professional athlete life, being into the WNBL at 16 or something. So I think I've sort of just grown mentally strong as it is, and I've sort of been a bit blessed in that area. So I think, I don't even know, to be honest. I think there's just, if I've got a teammate that I'm really comfortable with, like an older teammate, I will definitely look to lean on them or talk to them for advice and all that sort of stuff. I can't pinpoint anyone right now, but I'm sure if I sat down and thought about it, I'd be able to. And obviously my family as well, like they've always been there. They know exactly what I go through, and they're probably, especially my mum, probably the people that I've always turned to like all the time. So probably them, and the coaches that you build really close connections with as well. There's always one that comes along and you're just so connected to. So I think you got your teammates, your coaches and family are probably the three categories of people that I'd turn to.
Yeah. And I mean, having a few people that are available to you in that time, I think is huge. You have your stable family that will always be there. And that's your kind of your constant or consistent, kind of thing. And then maybe it's during the season where you might have two or three that, you can go to for a certain situation. And then that may change, the next year, but surrounding yourself with that, I think is massive. But, before the footy season starts, WNBL is coming around the corner, as we talked about before, as I'm in quarantine getting ready to play with Capitals. What's
kidding.
Don't boo the champs. I'm jumping on their bandwagon, seeing how I can help.
Surprise is a prize.
That's right. So what are your thoughts on basketball? What are your goals with basketball? I know that you've been a dual athlete playing in the highest league, WNBL here, as well as playing in AFLW. So you're playing in two elite sports at the highest level as you can. Of course, you're still trying to improve just your own game, but you're competing against the best. Obviously you were more focused on basketball there for a while, but then when AFLW opened up, you went right in there and made your mark, which was really, really awesome. And now you've just kind of stuck to your guns there for a while, playing both. Yeah. What's going through your head with basketball? And what are your thoughts with that? Or is it just going to be footy from now on?
Yeah, so I have been training with Southside at the moment, so I'm sort of just seeing where that goes. Not sure just yet, so we'll have to wait and see there. But like you said, I've always, as soon as footy came in, like as an AFLW competition, I've always wanted to pursue that. So if I want to try and do both for as long as I can until I get to the point where I have to choose. But, yeah, so I'm trying to do basketball as much as I can, and this season, like, potentially play some WNBL, and by the time that's over, I've got like a month until the AFLW season, so I'll be able to do both again. So I guess I don't really have a choice again. So I'm sort of I just go with the flow, Britt. Like, you know me. I sort of just plan out the next few months, and what I can do, I do, and what I can't, I don't. So I'm sort of just trying to be a dual athlete for as long as I can until I have to sort out what I want to do.
There's a healthy balance with that, being able to do two things and being able to, switch mindsets where, it's kind of refreshing to change and start in the basketball season. Then it's kind of a refreshing switch to go and start, with footy and, things like that. How do the two sports complement each other? Like if you, let's say if these two sports were like powerlifting and then marathon, probably can't cross over and do two sports. Right. What does one help more than the other? What are some similarities? How do they complement each other? Because, you're able to keep a high level with both. So there has to be some commonality in there, common ground.
Yeah, for sure. But just on the powerlifting thing, when I was in year 7, I actually got asked to join the weightlifting team.
Oh,
yeah. But
you got to be kidding me.
I was a bit scared.
Are you in the weight room going to town, shifting weights? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So I said, look, I'll pass. But anyway, back on the topic. So, yeah, I think they do complement each other a whole lot. I think with the basketball, it makes me very agile and very good with the ball skills, and just being aware of, I guess I'm able to, when I go back out on the footy field, I'm able to get myself out of, congested traffic because I'm so used to a court, you know what I mean? And I guess I'm very composed on the footy field thanks to basketball. And obviously the fitness from footy carries over to the basketball court, so I could run for a while on the court, but then again, it's also a very different fitness. You go from a 20-something metre court to a big freaking oval. So it's a very different there, but they do, like you said, complement each other. I think the strength and stuff from footy helps on the basketball court, and, the ball skills over to footy. So they're sort of just intertwined together, and, I'm sort of very lucky that they're the two sports that I'm playing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I can definitely see the pros of being on a small court in a small space and learning to still find that space and still finding, being able to compose yourself and make a good decision out of a congested environment. Yeah. Being able to take that over and, like you said, being light on your feet and being agile and the cutting and stopping from basketball, definitely has to help. So, let's say you're playing a hard game of basketball, full game of basketball. You have your normal footy game as well. Which do you feel more tired in one or the other, or are they just complete opposite, or what? What's more taxing? Because there's lots of jump, stop, sprints over and over again, but there's more rest and there's less kilometers in basketball. But there's more. There is high speed in footy and there's physical contact, obviously, but there's also pacing because the ball is all the way over there on the other side.
So I think basketball is a bit harder. It's like if I'm playing a 30-plus minute game. So I reckon if someone's playing that and they're playing full court defense most of the time and they're pushing the ball up the court and all that sort of stuff, I think, and coming off screens, getting hit by screens, it's actually really hard. And you get tired quicker in basketball because it's a lot of the quick, fast running all the time. You don't have time to really jog. But in footy, it's also it's just as tiring, but it's just a different kind. Yeah. So it's you have to run from contest to contest and you have to, high speed running, but it's not all the time you're high speed running. It's a lot of the time, but it's not like basketball where it's literally all the time. And also with basketball, you're down in your stance all the time. So that's also another thing that really ties the legs out a lot quicker. But with footy, it's just, it's more the long distance endurance stuff that really gets you burning. But it's very different, but also I think basketball's a lot harder, a lot earlier. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I mean, everything has to be under control because it's not that contact sport. There's contact, but it's not ruled as a contact sport. So it's kind of like you have to learn to go really, really fast without toppling over someone or
without tackling someone. Yep.
Yeah. I always, found that interesting because you're going from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And then, even just the safety of the knees of also you're stopping at 100% effort as well. And just the fact that if, there's only 10 people on the court, so you have to just pay attention more. Yep. I feel like you still have to pay attention because you don't want to get out of position in footy or else you're screwed. But it's kind of just like, you have that time to sometimes mentally pump yourself up or regather and be like, okay, step up your game, to where if you do that, okay, step up your game, the ball is going to hit you in the face. just not going to happen.
Yeah, more time and space on the footy field. And just with that, I also think basketball helps with my strength, like with being really solid, because you're always like copying, like you're coming off a screen or something, or you're shooting and you have to land well and you have to jump really quick and then down in your stands and you're sliding. Like it's, I don't know, really hard to explain, but I think it helps with the strength a lot more. When I come over to footy, I don't really have to worry about being hit and coming off balance or getting tackled and falling over really quickly. I can sort of hold my ground a little bit more, and I think that's sort of a benefit as well.
Want to be a smart athlete? Be Smart Athletic provides a versatile protocol for pain-free longevity. To learn more about our SMART programs, follow me on Instagram at BeSmartAthletic or visit BritSmart.com to get in touch. That's interesting because like control and balance, because you do have to be able to control yourself, because if the referee doesn't call a foul, or even just you can't lose your position in basketball, because if you lose it for a second, they're by you or they've scored. Or so it's learning that body control, which is hard because there's a lot of people who can lift a lot in a weight room, so to speak, but then don't know how to use their strength in a game, their own body weight.
So true. Yeah.
That's an interesting point, because automatically I think people think, with footy, they have to run more, therefore it's more tiring, or you have to be stronger in footy because you're getting hit, and it's like, not those things are applicable, obviously.
Yeah.
But I've had a few other friends who have played a little bit of both, or, Shannon Grant.
Yeah. Oh, I love Shannon Grant. I used to go to the footy, and I had his fun fact. I used to go to the footy because I was a mad North Melbourne supporter, and he used to have his little head cut out on a cardboard thing with a stick on it. And I used to put it on my face and pretend I was him.
That is great. Well, I coached his daughter in, a basketball club here, maybe like a few years ago. He was playing pickup basketball, like a men's league. He's like, if I'm bringing my daughter here to play basketball, maybe I'll play basketball too. And he said the very similar thing to what you said, that it actually is, his hamstrings had never been more sore. I mean, probably because maybe he's probably more out of shape, but maybe it wasn't that extreme. But, like he was just like, wow, that high speed and all of that fast twitch stuff all the time. Yeah, it's pretty similar.
So true.
So we worked out maybe just once over through COVID. You came over to me and we did a bit of a workout.
Rules came into place where we couldn't leave 5 kilometers.
I know. That was really sad. Have you developed more of an interest of, lifting weights and getting in the gym and finding the need for that? I know it's hard sometimes to find the applicable, how it transfers from lifting in the weights and how it applies to sport. And I think that's something that I'm really trying to focus on, is how can we prevent injuries? How can we do more work in the weight room that's sport specific to then feel like you are, stronger on the court and, ready to take those unpredictable moments, even just you picking up a footy and, all that stuff. Just tell us your journey with strength and conditioning and the importance of it that you feel has worked for you.
Well, I guess my journey started, I'm very lucky, I went to Maribyrnong Sports Academy. So from year 7, we learned like all sort of techniques to lift everything. Like it could have been powerlifting, but we learned the technique for that. We used, we have to start with like a PVC pipe. We'd practice everything with that for a few months, and then we'd add a little bit of weight, or then we'd add a bar. And from year 7, I think we started lifting a bit more when we were like year 9. I know the boys started a lot earlier, but For me, it was probably year 9 I started with the weights, and I've just been really lucky with knowing what lifts are and knowing the technique for stuff. So I probably started then and then up until year 12, and then I've obviously, education comes into it and you're studying all the time for year 12. So I stopped gym for a while. Then I started AFLW and WNBL and was introduced to gym again, and I've always liked it since, and I've always been lifting since. And I think only the past couple of years I've really loved gym. I've loved getting in there and like lifting and getting strong. I've loved the feeling of my body when I feel it changing and getting stronger, and it's sort of showing on the basketball court or the footy field. So when COVID happened and I couldn't go to the gym, I missed it so much. Like I didn't think I would, but I missed it so much. And then I didn't do really much gym stuff until I came to see you, Britt, and we did some stuff, and then I was doing some of that at home. And yeah, I guess I started stealing, people's weights from their gym, not stealing, like going and borrowing and getting back into my gym stuff. So I guess that's credit to you for.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome. But yeah, I think, I've never loved it so much. And as soon as I got back to basketball training and footy training, the first thing I was excited for was lifting. So it's such a powerful thing, and to feel strong is huge. Like you can tell the difference when you've missed a gym session instead of missing a training session, if that makes sense. So yeah, I probably prefer to be in the gym lifting if I can't be out there training. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. It breeds confidence, if you look strong, you're going to feel strong, and you're going to feel stronger than your opponent's tougher. It gives you confidence. And I think it also gives you confidence even if you were never playing a sport. I think if you go to the gym and you're able to, follow a protocol that really works for your lifestyle and you feel strong, it also just helps you feel confident as a person and who you are and comfortable. And then therefore that can be shown on the court where you're able to play and you're not trying to compete to put others down or anything. You're comfortable with yourself. Yeah. You feel confident. And I just think there's so many good things about, it's not like people have to be buff and go to the gym all day, every day and, things like that. But it also just gives, preparation for your sport, but also feeling really good about yourself and in your own skin.
Yeah, I think just on that note, I think a lot of younger girls don't understand what it's like to be strong. I think they think strong is looking like a bodybuilder. But that's actually not the case. Like you can be really strong, but you don't actually look like you are, if that makes sense. And, I know from experience, like I actually think I'm pretty strong, but I don't lift the heaviest weights in the gym and I don't have the biggest muscles. I think I do sometimes, but
that's good.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some more education around that area, and especially with girls coming through basketball, I think they need to be exposed to a gym program a lot earlier and I guess taught how to lift as well as, football as well, because I know a lot of girls go. I have a friend actually that's gone from not doing any sort of gym to going to a college, and it's like her first time lifting up there. So it's, and she's nearly 18 years old. So imagine if she started earlier sort of thing. So I think in footy as well, there's girls getting drafted that probably haven't really had much of a gym program to do or a solid one set in place, like individualized as well. So I think there needs to be some more education around that area and get girls in the gym feeling strong, if that makes sense. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, did you first start realizing that through basketball first? Before. Yeah.
I think I noticed when I was doing a lot of gym stuff from school, and then I would go to training and I'd be a little bit sore. And I would say to one of my friends or teammates, I'm a bit sore from gym. Like I did this, and that. And they're like, you do gym? What do you mean? And I was like, it's normal it's normal to me to do that. And they were like, nah. Never done it before. And then you'd get to your national intensive training and you're with Core Advantage and they're introduced to all this stuff and they're just new to it. And I was there already knowing it all. So I think, definitely through basketball is where I first noticed that sort of stuff.
I love how you pointed out though that girls and women need to know that it's okay to lift weights and you actually look better having some muscle. Yeah. Secondly, it takes a long time to actually gain muscle. You're not going to ever look like a bodybuilder unless you want to look like a bodybuilder. You're not going to become all muscles and manly, those who do that, first of all, have the genetics to do that and are trying to do that for their sport, or that's just what makes them feel good and feel confident in themselves.
Exactly right. And yeah, like you said, strong is good. I used to have I was like a little puppy when I was like 16. Like I was strong, but like you couldn't see it on me. Yeah. But then, as I get older and you continually go to the gym, your body develops over time. So I think only in the past couple years, probably in the past year, my body has really changed and actually looked athletic. Yeah. But that's because I've been going to the gym for years now, so you got to keep at it, and it does help. For sure.
Yeah. And I think the culture is starting to change. You had the slogans of strong is the new skinny, and all these fitness companies and stuff that their models are actually muscular women now, like sporty women, not just the rail thin that no one can relate to, but everyone tries to be, and there's standards for women to be that, and that of course leads into, diet and people getting confused of what they should eat. Women shouldn't be eating a lot. They shouldn't have big appetites, or, mostly women there's nothing wrong with vegan or vegetarian, but they view meat and muscles as only manly things. Yes. Which is really interesting. So, you talked a little bit about before you started to, get your diet back on track and stuff. What's your diet like? And with the mistakes and all, but what do you focus on? What do you even want to improve on?
Yeah. Well, I love chocolate.
Couldn't wait to say that. What's your favorite chocolate?
Well, I've had a few over the years.
Oh, okay. You're developing your taste buds to different chocolates.
Of course, yeah. But I do love dark chocolate. I absolutely love it, the Lindt one. But also at the moment it's Caramello, the block. So that's a good snack, but it's sometimes food.
That's great.
My diet probably consists of a couple of eggs in the morning. It could be cereal, Special K, shout out Special K.
Oh, yeah, word.
Yeah. So it's that, and definitely have bread, especially on training days, because, you need your carbs to get some energy. And then after training or gym, I'll have some protein. I have a protein shake with, the powder that we're given. And then I will come home. I will either have I think the other day I had a chicken wrap, a couple of chicken wraps, which was actually quite filling. And if I'm snacking, I'll snack on sort of whatever's there, but I'm really careful what it is. I do love fruit so much. So it's probably normally fruit, or if mum's got some leftover dinner, I'll have some of that. And then, for dinner time, the other night I had some eye fillet steak with some potatoes and lots of veggies. So I'll change it up. I do love my chicken, but I also love my meat as well, my red meat. So it's sort of just, I always have my breakfast, always have my lunch, and I always have my dinner. But if I'm snacking, it's not anything big. It's something light and something that's also filling at the same time. So yeah, I've sort of just been able to wrap my head around what I should be doing, and if I'm hungry, I will eat. I'm not going to starve myself. You know what I mean? So, and I know I need the fuel. So, yeah.
What are you going to do when you don't live with your mom anymore? Are you going to be able to cook? What's what are you going to do?
I'll be able to cook the basics.
Okay.
I'm going to have to learn from her, but I don't it's a lot of effort cooking, but she'll probably have to cook meals and send them over, but won't
send them over.
I'll be at home for a while.
Yeah, because you're studying and you're obviously making some money playing basketball and footy, obviously probably a little bit more footy because that's the nation's sport and that's where money goes. And it had to have been interesting to, be a part of the inaugural season of AFLW, and all of a sudden it's just going to these top new heights out of nowhere, and where, WNBL has been around forever and they still don't get that treatment, and basketball does great on the world stage and doesn't get
same attention.
Yeah, which I love. I don't want anything to be taken away from the attention that AFLW has gotten. So talk a little bit about the differences that you have seen, and maybe some similarities or some whatever of why that happened, or just your experience going through a mature league that's been around, for however many years to a new one, and how it's a bit lopsided.
Yeah, so funny that. So I remember having this conversation with someone not that long ago how women's basketball, WNBL, has been around for years, like so many years. But then AFLW sort of just came along and it just went up, like straight up like that. It's definitely very professional league, the WNBL, but I think I don't know. I think there was more attention put around the AFLW because it's new, and I think that sort of helped it. And the fact, I think social media is also very huge. The fact that they promoted the hell out of the league really did help with everything. And basketball, I don't think is promoted that much via any sort of social media or anything like that. So I think that probably has a really big impact on it. But, yeah, I think a lot of like you said, lopsided. WNBL is, like, very much more professional, but the way AFLW is sort of set out, it's a lot more professional. Like, our training sessions would be you'd go to training, you'd train, but you'd have the S&C there every single time. You'd have the facilities there at training to use gym, so you do that. And then you'd have your recovery there. So you'd be able to do it all at the club, and you can come into the club whenever you want and utilize those facilities, which I think helps being a professional athlete. But with basketball, especially from boomers, like we'd train at the State Basketball Centre, then we'd have to drive somewhere else to do strength, and then we'd sort of do our own recovery. So it was sort of not as professional in that sense. But then again, it's also been around for a much longer time, but there's just not enough money in the sport to have those facilities. So it'd be nice to see it go up, but I think at the moment it's at a bit of a halt. So
yeah. I mean, and it should have that money for how 100%. Long it's been running. But I also understand wherever you live, there are cultural sports that are just going to take precedent no matter what, you know, and that was the case here. And I love that. I love how they just made people into superstars before they even played a game, which I think is great because that's the only way you're going to have more of that equality of women in sports. And the men got that when their league was starting because they were the only league starting, you know, they promoted things. So I think it's only fair that, you know, AFLW got promoted. And did that fame media, did that hit you hard? Did you like it? Do you not like what are some pros and cons, of that, or how did you handle that?
It was just different. I loved it, of course, but yeah, I was sort of very confused because it's like I haven't even played a game of football yet and I'm hyped up or something by this and that. Whereas I've been playing basketball and I've been in the league since I was 16 years old and nobody knows that. You know what I mean? And I was sort of like, oh, but basketball, like back then, basketball is my main sport. Like I've done this, and that, but like it's unheard of. Like no one knows this sort of stuff. And then I go to footy and it's like, wow, AFLW, like young guns, like everyone that was in my draft year. Like all the attention was on us. And then, you know, the first couple of rounds happened and if someone plays a good game, it's everywhere. Like you know about it. Someone plays a good WNBL game, only the basketball community know about it, you know. So it was a bit different for me, but I also did love it as well because it was sort of something different and it was happening in the league that I was playing in as well. So it was different but good at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me a little bit just like about your experience trying to fight for time for each sport. You know, because when you play an elite sport, it technically is year round. So there has to be some type of sacrifice from both clubs at some point because they don't have full access to you all around. What are some of the struggles that you've been through? How have you been able to get through it?
I'll talk about our year when we made the grand final. So we made the grand final, WNBL Boomers versus Townsville, and we went to game 3 of the grand final and we unfortunately fell short, but then, we won't talk about that.
No.
So 1 week later, the AFLW season started. But during that time, I was morning training for Boomers and then gym and then evening training for football. So that was how I sort of juggled that. But when it came to I was probably going to potentially sacrifice some footy games to play in the finals for WNBL. But then the next year came around and I was sort of a bit torn because I was like, oh, but if we make – like I really wanted to win, obviously. Like if we make finals and I have to let football know that I'm going to have to miss a couple of games because it was going to eat into the season. And, you know, they were really understanding because they knew that I want to be a dual athlete and they knew that that means some sacrifices here and there. So that was going to be the case. But fortunately, I got to make it to Unfortunately, sorry, I got to make it to, I think we played in Adelaide in the semi-final game 2, and we lost, but my first AFLW game was 2 days later. So I had to fly home from Adelaide to Melbourne and then meet my team at the airport, my footy team at the airport, and then fly back to Adelaide for round 1 in 2 days. So that's how I did that. So I've sort of just been lucky with time, if I'm honest. But no, it's sort of, one has to sacrifice. And then it came to the winter season and I decided to play NBL 1 instead of VFLW because I wanted to, get my game back up and my confidence back up before going into the next WNBL season and just play the VFL games that I could in the weekends I didn't have basketball. That's how I was doing it all. So a lot of juggling, a lot of sacrificing, but you just go week by week.
Does that overwhelm you at certain points, or is it honestly just you just really look at the week ahead and are just kind of like, oh, I can do this or this? How do you handle the heat from coaches? Do the two coaches from each team, will you put them in contact with each other, or they mainly just communicate through you or your agent? Or
so the first year I had to sort of figure out what I was going to do, but my coach was sort of communicating with my manager or agent to then communicate that on. So it sort of went through him because it was a bit easier that way, if that makes sense, because the manager understood both. But no, it's just a lot of communication, especially with the strength and conditioning stuff as well, like letting them know what I'm doing. Yeah, so I remember getting to a point every year where it's like in basketball training in mid-season and then footy training's still a few weeks out of the season. So it's like I've trained in the morning. I'm so tired. I'm doing evening training for footy, obviously very modified. And then it's like I come home and I'm like, oh, I have to get up early again for basketball. So gets very overwhelming, but then I sort of sit back and go, well, this is what I want to do. I've chosen to do this, so I'm going to pursue it. And it's going to help me reach my goal and all that sort of stuff. So I sort of just have to snap myself out of the negative mindset and get back into the positive one.
Yeah, I mean, it's great you have that ability. I mean, you have to have that ability if you're trying to do a lot and you have a lot on your plate and people pulling you in different directions. And I'm sure you have, like you said, your parents, your that support system or that friend or teammate here and there where you're just kind of like, I'm up to here. You're able to get it out, able to move on, not necessarily suppress all of that, but being able to hopefully release it and then find a solution to where you can enjoy both and not feel like you are just being stretched out and pulled and, which I'm sure you feel that way at times.
Yeah.
You talked about how you've chosen to do this. This is what you wanted to do to reach your goals. Why do you want to be a dual athlete so much? What are you trying to prove to others, prove to yourself? Why do you really want to do that? And we'll wrap up with kind of like this question and what your main goals are on the sporting field and court.
Yeah, I think you sort of touched on it. Like I'm sort of doing it for myself in a way because I don't see, if I'm good at two things, I don't see why I have to give up one of them if I don't have to. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people out there that are like, you can't do two sports. You can't be good at two things. So it's sort of like, why not? Why can't I? Well, I already have been. So I'm going to keep pursuing that for as long as I can. It's sort of, to be happy within myself and like prove that to myself and I guess to the haters too. I'm low key. So that's probably the main thing. And my goals for basketball, I want to be an opal one day. So I'm obviously very young at the moment. So I've got a few years until that goal. So I'm sort of just I want to do that one day. I don't really know how I'm going to do it or how it's going to work. But when the time comes to sort of put all my eggs in that basketball basket, I will. So obviously not yet, but I will eventually. And football, I want to keep just doing what I'm doing, keep playing in the league and potentially win a premiership with Richmond one day. So, sort of just keep pursuing that, keep playing in the WNBL and see where that takes me sort of thing. So I guess they're my long-term goals.
Yeah. No, that's it's really interesting because with footy, it's almost you want to win premierships, but that's it. That's the top end sort of thing. That's the highs you can get with footy, which is amazing. And you can, win individual accolades as well. Australian team or MVP or whatever they call it. I don't know. Yeah.
It's not as special.
And it may be in some eyes and in your culture and where you live right now, it's cool. I guess with basketball, you're thinking, oh, I can try and win premierships with, a WNBL team and improve your game that way. You can make an Opal squad. You can go to the Olympics. You could go to Europe and travel.
I want to do that too one day.
Experiences. So it is interesting to say when push comes to shove, it's, you can play at the highest level here with footy. Of course, you still want to get better and you want to improve, and you still have so much more you want to accomplish with footy. There's no question about that. But yeah, there's a lot more opportunities, I guess, with basketball. And, I guess that would be in a shorter timeline. If you always know you're going to come back and live here, I guess footy would always be here. But no, that's really interesting, I guess, because it's not even that you like basketball more. It's just because it's such a worldwide sport.
Yeah. It can take you. I mean, you've been everywhere. So I think I would potentially one day when I'm older, would like to go to Europe and play for a team up there for a season and see if I enjoy that and might even potentially keep doing that. But obviously that's not something I'm looking at right now, but that's something I want to do. Like I want to do that. Potentially Italy or Spain because I love those two places. But, I think because basketball can take you all around the world, and that's also life experience, not just basketball as well. So I think that's the special part of playing an international sport.
You get to learn a lot about yourself, and then, basketball, because it's worldwide, has so many layers. There's so many ways to play a basketball game and styles and, things like that, simply because it's played all over the world. I'm sure if, Aussie rules or whatever was played everywhere, there'd be different. Yeah, there'd be a lot more creation and creative ways to do things or, get things done. So I'm not trying to say that basketball is better than footy. I'm just pointing out the differences. So how old are you though now?
I'm 20 at the moment.
I'm proud of you. You're not a teenager anymore. That's right.
I'm not a child. No.
Not a teeny bopper.
No.
You have a lot of time then to reach these goals and, not to feel pressure. And I think that's especially for female athletes, you feel pressure, whether it's to have a family or that's not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to go and play sports till you're 40, 50. You're just supposed to stop. And as long as you have and take care of your body and you keep using your resources, keep paving the way to show that it's, been done. And you're giving a lot of inspiration to female athletes saying that, hey, it actually really can be done. And you don't have to give up something you love, just because it might come, like you said, if you want to experience life or experience situation, maybe for you, basketball's the way to go. But no, there's a lot to explore and it's kind of fun. It's great that you're able just to go with the flow, so to speak. You might have an idea of how the season's going to go out or how it's going to take shape, but being able to be flexible and, work through kind of the hard, tough moments when the sports do overlap. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to reach those dreams. So
exactly.
All right, well, thanks for coming out, Mon. I really do appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, maybe I'll see you on the court here soon. Better watch it.
Just might.
Watch my granny strength. I'll take you down.
You probably still post me up, but that's all right. We won't talk about it.
Good. At least you know your place on the court. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Respect your elders. Yeah. All right. Catch you later. Talk soon.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Smart Athlete. In next week's episode, we will catch up with WNBL and WNBA star Sammy Whitcomb.
This episode of The Smart Athlete was proudly engineered and released by The Ludus.